And welcome to the Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earl, and here are today's topics. Liverpool place one hand on the title with a crucial Virgil van Dijk header, while Arsenal slip up in the league following their dramatic Champions League win against Real Madrid. And the race for the qualification spots in the Champions League places gets even hotter after Nottingham Forest drop points to Everton, allowing the likes of Newcastle and Manchester City to stake their claim on the top five. That's what we have coming up in today's episode.
Okay, Mr. Mustoe, I know you double-dated me with Gary Neville this week, but I'm still here. And before we dive into the weekend stories, you've got to know that this summer is your chance to catch the Premier League right here in the United States. Manchester United, Bournemouth, Everton and West Ham take to the pitch across the country. Tickets are available right now at Ticketmaster.com. We can't wait to see you there. Some great games coming up in the summer. So remember, Ticketmaster.com for all your ticket requirements for a great summer of Premier League football. And we've had an interesting weekend of Premier League football, my friend. Very much starting with the top of the table, the race for the championship, the run-in, I think, as it's called now, that's becoming a bit of a jog-in in the end now for Liverpool in some respects. Rob, a 2-1 win against West Ham. Kind of showed a little bit of where Liverpool are at the moment in terms of, starting well and then maybe going into cruise control, West Ham getting into the game, equalising, and then them finding a way through it. Is this kind of what we're going to expect from here on in now for Liverpool, Rob?
Yeah, I think so, Rob. And like we said in the show today, there's one of two ways that they can do this, isn't there? I guess there's probably more than two ways, but they can kind of coast it, and they can. I mean, today, I maybe explain it better than what happened today. Today they're winning the game 1-0, and I think they want to win. Liverpool want to win games, but they don't really need or seemingly want to really put teams away and go full throttle, flat out to try and really smash teams early on to get these points to win the title as early as they can. But it looks like they want to win games. Of course they want to win games. So the game I thought was like, we're ahead. This is okay. It's okay, West Ham. You play a little bit of football, but we're winning, so that's okay. As soon as West Ham United scored a goal, Robertson, Van Dijk kind of mix-up, all of a sudden, there's like a raise of about 4 gears where they're like, we want to win again. And they get the goal from Big Virgil from the set piece very quickly. So maybe that's going to be the way. It's not going to be a coast and, they lost and they drew. I mean, we know they're going to win the title. But I certainly don't think it's going to be a flat out, let's try and impress everybody. I think it's going to be like today. We'll do enough to win games because we want to win games, particularly at Anfield. And I said on the studio show today, they're too good, Rob, aren't they? They've got too many good players to lose or, too many professional players to let it be a real kind of poor run-in. What do you think to that? What do you think to the game, Rob? And what do you think to that theory that they, they'll do, I guess, the least effort to win a game of football?
It's a good point. I love the line, too many good players. We're going to park that because I'm going to come back to that in a discussion later. But do you know, Rob, what I was looking at today? And, great news, Mo Salah's got the signed a new contract, beautiful assist, it's a record-breaking assist now, 27 goals, 18 assists, 45 goal involvements in a Premier League season, the best ever in a 38-game season, putting this guy at another level. So great start, good enthusiasm, fans were into it. And then I think what happens, Rob, and I would say similar to Arsenal yesterday, I think human nature kicks in.
Yeah.
I think the human nature of, we're 10 points clear with a win today, we're 13 points clear. We've had 60-odd maybe games across cup and competition. We've had internationals where we've been here. Yeah. I just think it's a human trait, Rob.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Even if you want to go, your legs are going, hold on a minute, mate. Well, I'll put it in for 30-odd games, and we're sitting top, and it's not a chase. If Arsenal were 3 points behind them and there was a chase on, they'd have beat West Ham 3-0 today or 3-1.
Yeah.
I think they did have found those gears earlier. So you're right. I think, the Diaz goal, the Van Dijk, getting the goal back. I mean, it's interesting, Rob. One of the things I wanted to look at, because I thought, okay, it was a win. Liverpool have lost 3 of the last 5 games in all competitions. So if you count Champions League, the PSG, and the League Cup, and the league game last week, it was against Fulham, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's like they haven't quite been at the top end of the game that we saw early to mid-season when they were controlling games, Rob, and playing with a real intensity. I don't think we've seen that for a few weeks. And again, it may well be down to the mental condition you're in. They're going to win it by distance. They've by far been the best team in the league. And I think, Rob, we should start to just talk about this, start to celebrate the 20th title that they won. Celebrate that, it's going to be at Anfield, and possibly a couple of weeks they can win the title. I think they've got Leicester and Spurs to play, Rob. 2 more wins and it's done and dusted. The scenes at Anfield are going to be incredible because the last time they won it, we know it was a pandemic and nobody was there, and it didn't quite feel as it should have done. It wasn't celebrated in the manner it should have been. Yeah. This one, I think, will be, mate.
Yeah, it definitely will be, and particularly as it's the 20th top-flight title to go level with Manchester United, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal, I believe, for both football clubs about that record and who's the best and who's the one been the most successful English team, etc., etc., etc. A couple of thoughts, Rob, on this, and I think you're right. It's going to be when they actually do it. I mean, in some ways, Rob, it's better TV. It's more dramatic if it's tighter and they win it in the last.
Yeah, we all would have wanted that, wouldn't we?
Yeah. But I don't feel it's going to be like. I think some people think it's going to they're going to win it and it's going to, they're going to win it. They look like they're going to win it for many weeks now, and it'll be a little bit of a
nothing of the sorts, mate.
No,
nothing of the sorts for me.
I don't think so.
If you think from first day of the season, you're telling Liverpool are going to be 13 points clear with 6 to go, mate. Do me a favour.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. And by the way, it also shows how they're so much better and so much more consistent than all the other bodies in the league.
So, as you know, mate, we had Gary Neville on this weekend. It's great to have Gary in there. You learn stuff. It's great banter and just a different way of doing our shows and all that. Yeah, it's really, really great. One thing he said, it's off camera, I think, to be fair. I'm sure he won't mind me kind of bringing it up now a little bit. He just sort of questioned. He sort of said, this Liverpool team and all that, they fully deserve it. Of course. Yeah. He said, I don't think it's as good as the last Liverpool champions. I don't think this team's, particularly, well, he just didn't, when he went through the team, your Wijnaldums and your Fabinhos and your Hendersons and your Manes and Firminos and all that. He thinks this team is a fair bit short of that Liverpool side. So I don't know. I mean, I think that's a good argument. What do you think to that, Rob?
It's a good argument. I mean, that Liverpool team that Klopp put at its very best. And let's remember, and there was 2 people he brought in. Virgil van Dijk, and he brought in Alisson as a goalkeeper. Two key pieces, mate, when they were a good team anyway. And then he went, bang, we're going to another level. That team at its very best was more exhilarating. It was actually a better watch, Rob. It was more exciting to watch. The football was so it was a better viewing thing. I think the Klopp, and we've got to give Klopp time, Rob. This is his first year. Let's give him 3 or 4 years. Let's give him some slot. Sorry. Let's give him the windows and let's see what his football turns out to be like.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah. That's where I would see it. But this guy's a smart guy. I think he's going to do it in a different way, a different mould. He's got his own personality. And, I'm sure Gary will say of the teams he played in, and he was there a very long time, there were different iterations of Man United. Yeah, there were. Maybe that didn't reach ever the '99 team that won the treble with York and Cole and Scholes and Beckham and Keane and Giggs. I mean, that was an incredible team. Schmeichel.
Yeah, brilliant team. Yeah, so it's a good show. It's a good point, Rob. Like, watch this space. Let's see how it goes. Yeah. Maybe it will become.
I think that's a discussion. Isn't that discussion for when Slot moves on and we see what he's won and how good they've been?
Yeah, but I think you can still compare champions to champions. So that's the immediate, this team to that team. But what you're saying is, well, let's see. Like next year and the year after, they might go and buy a bring.
They have some more title wins that might be a little bit different.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Quick line on West Ham, Rob. I think they're the 4th bottom now, aren't they? Like, I don't know. It's going to be anything you want to add on West Ham? I know they're experimenting the manager and.
I quite liked what I saw second half, mate.
You?
I thought there were some encouraging signs. I thought their football was better. I thought they pinned Liverpool back, whether Liverpool, took their foot off the gas, but you still got to do it at Anfield. I thought they scored a goal when they looked like they were on top of the game and maybe could have gone on and got a second. I mean, they hit the ball late at Fulcrum with their header. So, again, I would just say to West Ham fans, let's get through this season. Yeah. They're going to be in the league. Let's let this guy have a summer. Yeah. Let's get him a bit of pruning and maybe one or two more he wants. And let's give it the first half of next season to start seeing the improvement. That's where I am with Graham Potter, mate.
Yeah. Last line, Rob, back on Liverpool. The big news of the signing of Mo Salah. It looks like Virgil van Dijk is very close. I think it's going to get announced next week. Just give us I think it's pretty obvious what everybody thinks about this, but how relieved will the fans and the manager be, Rob? And I'll have one point I'll bring into you after you get your initial reaction.
Well, we knew there was 3 players whose contracts were up, 3 key players at the football club. In a way, Rob, it's not great business that we've gone this far, and it was still a bit of a doubt whether privately in the background Liverpool always knew this was going to happen. Mo Salah signing is an incredible, it's like a new signing in some respect, because if Mo Salah went, that's a massive hole you've got to fill, which I don't think you fill with one person. Virgil van Dijk's influence around the football club and his maturity as a Liverpool captain, I think it means a lot to him, Rob. I think you see his reaction when he scores today. I think he wants to go down as one of the great Liverpool captains, and there's been some of them. So to get these 2 guys at this stage of the career, when either could have moved, Rob, for big clubs, for big money and probably similar salary and a huge signing on fee, it still shows the pull of Liverpool as a club, as a community, and it keeps Liverpool in title business for me. You lose Van Dijk and Salah, mate, and I'm not sure you're talking titles instantly without these 2.
Well, I'll tell you what you do have to do, Rob, and this is for me, even when I look at the right back in Connor Bradley, you've got re-sign the other 2, all of a sudden, you have got your funds, your transfer kitty is now going to add to grow the team and improve the team instead of replacing those that have left. Yeah. And of all the things that these 2 deals mean, I think that's got to be the most important, that the money spent to replace, you just said, Salah's going to be more than one player, and to bring in the central defender. Connor Bradley has come through, Rob, and he's, I don't know whether they need to spend big money on a right back now to replace Trent. So the fact they can use their money to make this team better, I think that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
It's not dropping to go up again. No, it's staying at a level and then going next level. Let's go next level,
to
which
grow.
is absolutely.
And not spending to replace.
Which is why I always thought that 2 of the 3 would sign. I just didn't feel they could allow, because it's 3 big holes then. You've got to go and spend 50, 60 plus million to just get someone who you don't know if they're going to be good enough.
I know.
You don't know, Rob.
So that's a big deal. That's
in
really
the end,
important.
big deal, big business, and looking forward to seeing Arne Slot and his team lifting this trophy that they've deserved, Rob. And I've got to be honest, the day 1 of the season, I wasn't quite sure they'd be quite ready for it. So, no disappointment from me. Liverpool winning their 20th Premier League title. Great news for the Reds. One team who would love to have been challenging closely for the title is Arsenal, Rob. We kind of know the story of the season, the injuries, the lack of centre forward that's been sort of put forward as a reason why. It was a really interesting discussion you and Gary had about where Arsenal were and the drop-off and whether they haven't been good enough. I really enjoyed that, and I thought, listen, I can understand both points. And I get where Gary's coming from. I tend to think, and this doesn't sound right, but I tend to feel like the UK perspective is sometimes slightly different from the US perspective, Rob. Whether they're around it more, they're closer to players, or that. I kind of feel it's a UK kind of line that, Arsenal have just well short again. They're not going in the right direction. Kind of feel that comes when I watch clips of shows over in the UK. Maybe a little bit more less than we do here in the US.
Well, I'll tell you, it's interesting, Rob, because, I think there's a tendency, right, for strong personalities to have a strong opinion about something.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
if they're respected as Gary is
Gary,
in the UK, if
it's
he says something
weight,
strong, it carries weight. And others absolutely kind of like, you know what? I think he's right. I think he's right.
Yeah.
And then somebody else will say it.
Which isn't Gary's fault in some respects. It's for people to have their opinion.
Please be independent, though. Please think independently.
It's very healthy to have other opinions or bring up other points. So that's why I enjoyed the debate, Rob. I think you came from one perspective, Gary came from the other. I don't think anybody's necessarily right or wrong. I don't think that's the case. I think you can come from it from two different angles and still agree to disagree. So
let's get your take, Rob. Like, have they regressed or not? That was the debate.
Can I just go back to part of the debate that I thought was good, where Gary's been, I think, part of 8 titles, is it, or something, and been around maybe 10. Yeah. So in some respects, Rob, where his word carries, and absolutely, he's talked about knowing what it takes to win it and how it takes to win it. But I think he was so much in a special time with an incredible manager, with an incredible group of players. There really was no drop-off for Man United, was it? There was the odd years when they didn't win it by a few points, and Fergie brought somebody in, got them fired up, and they won it again. I think football now and this Arsenal team is a little bit different to those times. And so when I look at Arsenal, and everybody will point to the injuries, they're regressing, they're going further away. The couple of things that I wrote down, Robert, I wrote a little note about the goals. 22-23, 88 goals. Last year, 23, 24, 91 goals. This year, they're on 57 goals, which is about 15. They were 15 below Liverpool at the start of the day. Arsenal haven't necessarily been so short of goals that's the one thing. They've been short of a centre-forward. Now, I'm going to go back to a point I made a few weeks ago. Arsenal have drawn 12 games this season, mate. 12 games. Six games from some winning positions, I think. If they get 6 goals in 6 of those games, so I'm saying a centre-forward who isn't scoring or not necessarily counting when you're 1-0 or 2-0 and he gets the 3rd and 4th and his total goes 20, who gets you 6 more wins on those days, that's 12 points, Rob. That would have put Arsenal on 75 points. They have to get a special kind of striker who might be a bit different from what they have. We know what Arsenal do. We know there's an Arsenal style of goal. There's the Saka coming inside and bending. There's the one that they get to the byline and they cut back, and a Marino or a Trossard or Odegaard. These like a certain look. I'm saying the centre-forward who might, Rob, be playing on the shoulder and get run and played in. I'm saying the centre-forward who might go from a riot kick like Man City do every now and then to Haaland or McAteers the other day and runs in behind and gets you that goal. It's that is missing for me with Arsenal that makes them the difference between Liverpool, Man City and where they are right now.
Yeah, but we know why some of those draws are draws and why the results haven't been as good and why the
people are saying, it's just about the centre forward. It's not just about the centre forward. It's about a certain centre forward, Rob, who's going to produce those moments when this team can play well. And yesterday, I kind of felt the moment it was 1-1, I didn't fancy Arsenal to win the game. Now, I'm not saying because of who was there, but there's certain games I watch Arsenal and you can't quite see a winner. You can see them playing the lovely football, but it's different in the box. I'm saying they've got to have a guy, Rob, who sometimes might not be as joined up with all the football and the 1 and 2 touch, but he might be on the shoulder, ready to go in behind of a straighter ball or a different way of playing. I think there's got to be a little point of difference to Arsenal to add to what they've got. If we just continue with what Arsenal have got, I still think they might fall a bit short, even with another striker.
All right. So where we agree, and Gary as well, is that the front line at that football club, in terms of what they got in the squad, could need something a little different that you're talking about, right? So let's just make sure we're all on the same page there. Whether it's an Isak, whether it's a Sesko or something else up there. Oh, we all agree. My point was, this season, I feel it's harsh to say they've regressed when their best player, their Mo Salah of the team, has been out for 3 months. And Martin Odegaard was out for a couple of months, wasn't he? And Kai Havertz, who got good numbers last year, with those set pieces. You know, I don't forget about last year, Rob. The set pieces was like having another player. They scored 91 goals. The point was, you can't say they've regressed when they've got 3 of their best players have been out for massive chunks of the season. It's like
I
Mo
wouldn't
Salah
say they regressed. Correct. But I would also, my point may be more together. I still think with that group of players, they'd been a bit short. They'd fell a bit short.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're second. They're second in the league.
Yeah, but I know where they are, and I know why they are. I'm trying to say to you that. How can I say?
Well, it goes back to the injuries are going to happen, right? So, we can argue about.
If they go and sign Bruyne and Burmo, or Wissa, who were 2 players who played today. Let's just say they could go into that team and score 15 to 20 goals. I'm not sure they win you the title. I'm not sure that wins you the title because they'll get their goals from the way Arsenal play. I want a centre-forward who can manufacture a couple of things himself if it's one of those days that the football's not going so great or it's not working so well. He's got to bring a different element to the Arsenal front line as well as what they've got.
Yeah, in an ideal world, Rob, in an ideal world, they can bring a striker in that adds that number of goals and that little bit of specialness that you're talking about. And we all agree on that. But they score with all different parts of the team. Even Liverpool, their top goal scorer as a striker, I think is less than 10, isn't it? I think Jota's not got double figures.
Oh yeah.
Darwin Núñez. So you can still be champion without a big crazy 20-goal a season striker when you've got the scoring wingers. And Arsenal have got scoring wingers. And they got Havertz, they got set pieces. I don't agree.
Yeah, have they got enough scoring wingers? Have they got enough in there? Saka, yes. Is Martinelli going to show us yet that he's got enough? Not yet, Rob. He's not shown
consistent. I know. We're not sure whether he can do it season in, season
out. We're saying is going to be 10 to 15 in that role if he plays, or if he goes in at 10, is he slightly different? Is he 8 to 10? So what I'm saying is, I get what you're saying, but I still think we're slightly different in what we see as the centre forward and what he's got to do. I can't kind of explain it well enough for you to understand what I'm saying, but I'm kind of saying the Haaland-esque strike, and I know he's a one-off, but doesn't actually get. Everybody tells you how many touches he doesn't have under there. When the ball's in the back, when they want to go direct, when they want to think, that guy comes up with things that win you games, that wins you title. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think Arsenal maybe need. Yeah. Now, I'm not sure whether Mikel Arteta might look at that play and he might go, oh, he doesn't quite fit because he's not a good enough footballer. I'm saying I'd just be a bit careful about going down the road of another good footballer who doesn't bring you those 8 to 10 moments that are going to be the difference makers.
Yeah, I think Gary, kind of to finish this off, Rob, he sort of compared the front players of Arsenal against the front players.
Yeah, it was a very good point, actually.
And the others, and he wasn't sure whether they're as productive as some of the others. And that,
it's a good point.
It is a good point, and there still are question marks about that.
Yeah,
I would just say, with a bit more patience, you think about how this team's evolved, Rob. They've got a great goalkeeper. Their defence now is better. It's the best defence in the league. You got Mars Lewis-Skelly. You got Jurgen Timber that makes them better. Plus those 2 central defenders and the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
midfield is pretty. They got. I mean, whether Thomas Partey's got a big future there, whether they might get somebody else. The wingers, the Trossards and the Martinelli and
Rice, Odegaard. It's good.
But one more. So now it's time. What I'm saying is now is time to add to the front line, the very front line. Add another player of quality, and then if you're lucky with injuries, then maybe you've got enough to get over the line. So we're in agreement, that they need to strengthen that area.
Yeah, maybe.
But
maybe
I can't. I was reacting to
the regress. The regress line. Well, it was like was it a year ago? So the bottling. And that wasn't the right word.
No, it wasn't.
It's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Let's quickly throw it to Wednesday, though, because they've got an important game on Wednesday, mate. They're 3-0 up, going to Madrid. Is it over, my friend?
No, it's not
did
over,
it score in the first 20 minutes?
No, is it? I don't think it's over. I mean, particularly if at what point because Real Madrid is so dangerous and they're so fast, and that atmosphere.
Oh, it's going to be incredible there.
They've done it. They've won in so many different ways in this competition that even if it's 0-0, I mean, if Arsenal score the first goal,
if Arsenal get a goal, then game on. With that defensive structure, it's looking as good as it can get.
Yeah. But if Real Madrid score early in the first 20 minutes, my goodness, they get one more, and then they'll think they're going to get
2 before half time, and then it's on, isn't it?
Brilliant, it's great. I mean, it's
massive game, brilliant game, massive game for Mikel Arteta. Yeah, looking forward to that one midweek. All right, my friend, we're going to go for the race for the top 5, which is becoming the interesting part of the season. Nottingham Forest 0, Everton 1. Another David Moyes-esque masterclass from Everton who get the job done. I think it's 2 defeats, Rob, I think, in 13 now, something crazy for Moyes since he's gone into the football club. Against a Forest team that, I know Gary and 1 or 2 again think that it might be...
You convinced me. You convinced me to say they're going to do it. I should have stuck with it. I should have stuck with it. I'm not sure.
You're on the Forest Express. You paid your ticket. Sit down, enjoy a light beer.
I went a bit early.
Enjoy a light beer. It's going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride, but we'll be okay.
Fasten your seatbelts. Yeah, I'm sure.
It's this league is incredible, though, isn't it, mate? You know, Nottingham Forest flying, and at home. And do you know what? Everything about the enormity of what they could do almost felt like it dropped on them this game. At home, they didn't have their energy. They didn't have their defensive setup. Looked a bit nervy because it's becoming real, Rob. Yeah. And I always remember our great friend Lee Dixon always says, wait till April. Wait till April, because that's when it matters. It all ends of the table. Yeah, bottom, middle, top. And I just hope that they haven't quite lost that little bit of mojo. And I hope Nuno can get them together this week. And, that little bit of spirit and that drive and, that they don't need a lot of possession. They can build. Just many of their parts didn't work, Rob. 2 things. I'm going to ask you 2 questions because I didn't really know from the team lineup. No Ryan Yates, no Hudson-Odoi, no Callum Hudson-Odoi to start. I'm kind of feeling against Everton. I want Ryan Yates on the pitch as my captain because I think I talked about him recently. He was close to being my underappreciated performer of the week, Rob. On the bench. Callum Hudson-Odoi came on late for Jota Silva in the wide position.
Elanga came on, didn't he? Elanga came on.
Was it Elanga? Sorry, Elanga came.
Elanga didn't start, did he?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Elanga didn't start, and that's it. Hudson-Odoi was on left. He brought Elanga on with about 20 minutes to go. And I don't know whether his injuries. Yeah, I don't know what. I just wondered why, in a game like that, would you not have that release of Elanga and Hudson-Odoi one side? And I just felt Ryan Yates in the middle of that field would have driven his team on a little bit. That's what he's great about him and as a captain. So again, I don't know why, and there may be injuries and maybe reasons why, and Forest fans might know that. But just as I was watching the game, I was thinking, and we've seen Nuno make some big calls. He's gone 3 at the back at times when the team's been doing so well, and it's worked for him. So I'm certainly not going to criticise him, but it was a bit of a head scratcher during the game as I'm watching Everton do their Everton thing. And to be fair, Rob, I thought Everton played some really good football.
Brilliant, mate. Really good. I mean, it's I agree with you on the Elanga thing, by the way. And at no point did they ever play well, and didn't deserve anything from the game. Which I don't think we've ever said that about them this season, not in the past. So really disappointing. But I mean, Everton, they're a different mentality. They're a different team, club. The vibe is different. They're a different club. They're not hanging on. They believe in what they do going forward. The manager allows them to go forward. He's made changes. Made changes again. He's taking a look at different players. He plays Armando Broja up front to take a look at him. Brings back Mikalenko at left back. They progressed. They played all the football. They're on the front foot. They didn't get caught counter-attack wise because they got good defenders. The Sean Dyche never trusted to really defend and allow others to get forward a lot more. It's I don't know. I mean, it's David Moyes. The fact that he brings and everything about him is like, I don't want to be down here. We want to be. We want to be. In fact, he said after the game, Rob, I want to be like Nottingham Forest. I want to be challenging in the top spot.
For you.
So he is dragging the team's psyche into not of holding on.
Correct.
And we've had this point deduction and we got this issue and that, which there was a lot of issues under Sean Dyche, but goodness gracious, hasn't he taken it to a whole new level and blown out of the water?
It looks like he's freed the club up, mate. God. You know, like of all the heaviness and the weight that everybody's carrying, and it's Everton, and we, you know, gone, you know. What an exciting future for Everton looking forward the next 2 or 3 years, Rob. You know, and you've got to keep this guy around it because he's absolutely changed the whole outlook of the football club.
He knows the club. I think he's going to finally go down to the new stadium, isn't he, this week? He said he doesn't want to go there until we know we're going to be safe.
Yeah, which is typical him, isn't it? Yeah.
Typical him. But where they are right now with that victory, 13th in the league table, 38 points. They're safe. And he'll go down there, and I reckon he'll stand in the middle of that stadium and be like, wow, like this club is moving on, and I was there way back, and I'm here again now, and I'm going to enjoy taking the club into that amazing stadium.
There was also a chance, mate, that club would have been in the Championship.
I know.
Come the start of next season, and that's the biggest thing that he should take a pride in, and certainly how his team should do. Just noted from Forest point of view, their next game's Rob home to Spurs, I think on Easter. I think it might be Easter Monday.
They haven't got a bad running. They have not got a bad running.
Yeah, they've just got to find that mojo again, get their best players on the pitch, and hopefully we've got a story to follow.
Are you wavering on Forest?
Are you crazy? I'm buying extra tickets. It's exactly what I wanted. So all the doubters can come out, and then Nuno knows what he's doing.
Well, I'm in now. You got me in. I've said they're going to do it, so I'm sticking with it.
You're on, mate. Yeah, I'm handcuffing you to the seat. You're on.
All right.
Let's go to St James's Park, where the two Uniteds face each other. Obviously, let's send out our best wishes to Eddie Howe, taking the hospital on Friday night. Obviously, not quite sure personally what that is, but hoping him a fast recovery and that he's back on the touchline. Jason Tindall did a great job as his assistant today. Newcastle 4, Manchester United 1. Interesting again to listen to you and Gary in the studio, mate.
Yeah. Let's go Newcastle first. Let's do Newcastle first.
Start with Newcastle. Yeah. Let's start with Newcastle because it's a good week. It's a good weekend for Newcastle, isn't it? In terms of getting themselves back in the picture, the top end of the table. I think everybody, or a lot of people, thought maybe that League Cup win or kind of stay focused, and you can dine out on that for the next 60 years, and they'd love you in Newcastle. But it looks to me like this group are determined to try and get back to Champions League. Obviously, what they enjoyed a season ago, and want to get back there again.
Yeah, it's a good team, Rob. They're a good team.
Yeah, it's a good team.
No European football. I expected a big season from Newcastle United, and it's been a little bit of a slow burner. But when you look at the players on the field, and particularly in this matchup today, we're talking studio, the expectation would have been United played in Europa League Thursday. They got another second leg, of course, for Thursday coming up. There'll be a little eye on that, which there was with the selection and the subs. And Newcastle's power, if they turn the power up, which they did after about 15, 20 minutes, I thought they're fairly slow starting. They then go through the gears.
I thought United started well, in fairness.
They used the ball pretty well. And then Newcastle's midfield, and it was a big day for Sandro Tonali, Rob. I thought he was not only the goal, but what a right in the end. You see this run he made at the end of the game? Where I mean, he looks imperious, like running with the ball. I thought he was brilliant in midfield, fully deserved, turned up the pace. United couldn't live with it, and it was a very comfy 4-1. And whilst I'm on about it, Rob, I'm going to bring in my underappreciated performer of the weekend. And I had quite a few contenders this weekend, actually. It's Harvey Barnes. Barnes.
Couldn't love him more.
I've always liked Harvey Barnes. And I'm sure, obviously, the club and Eddie Howe appreciates what he does, but he has been treated. He's had to be patient, hasn't he? Because Anthony Gordon is the left winger, and he hasn't really wanted to squeeze those two players in. So Harvey Barnes really has been a backup player all season to Anthony Gordon. Gordon's been out injured. Barnes has played. He scores. He's a scorer. He's powerful. He's a creator. His crossing's very good. He scores 2 goals today. The second goal, he steams through the middle on a slip from Manchester United, sticks it in the top corner. I think he is underappreciated by maybe Premier League fans in general. What he did at Leicester City and now moving to Newcastle, I believe in him. I'd love to see him as a regular starter. though it seems like Eddie Howe still likes Jacob Murphy, and no reason not to. He's a really good player. But Harvey Barnes, I mean, going back to the Arsenal, what a kind of a wide player to bring into the front line when you've got some injuries or whatever. So I just think he's underappreciated, and he's a very, very effective Premier League winger.
I remember, I think it was Premier League Summer Series the last time it was on, and he flew out to America to meet up with the team. He'd just signed from Leicester City. Yeah. And, Eddie said, it was interesting talking to Eddie, said he's one I've looked at for a while, and I like all the profile about him. He just said, he said, I'm just going to have to be careful with the intensity of how we train, because he's one of those guys he thinks can pick up muscle injuries. And it was interesting that he already, and then I think he picked up a little knock. He's had a few knocks that have hindered probably his chances to go consistently. But, to Gary's point back on like front lines of top 6 teams, and obviously Newcastle want to be there and cover, that's the kind of quality you've got to have. That when he comes in, there's no drop. He brings a different element with his power and his running and his direct style of play. And he's got a good eye for goal, mate. His record tells you, from the Leicester days why Newcastle bought him. So it's a really good shout, underappreciated. Yeah. And that's what Newcastle are going to need, Rob. If they're going to be the team they want, they're going to have competition for places. If they get to Champions League, they've got to be able to maybe rest at the weekend and still have a strong team and have a strong team in Europe. So... yeah, I like that one, Harvey Barnes, because he's a player who doesn't often get mentioned, with the Isaacs and the Gordon has his moments, and Bruno and all those. But he might still have a really big part to play in Newcastle going forward. Just talking of Newcastle before we move on, Rob, and obviously Champions League now is the challenge, and it's almost like they're fixated on it with Eddie Howe and the team. Isn't it going to be important that if they're going to get there and want to start to be a real rival to the Big Six and, almost replacing the likes of the United, that the Tonales, the Brunos, the Isaacs, the shares have to stay? Yeah. Do they have to stay? Do we have to stay and add to them, mate? Because that's what takes you to the next level.
Absolutely.
It's no use, getting to there and selling Isaac for 100 million and then we got to go again.
Yeah, absolutely. And winning that title and finishing strongly, I'm thinking, why would those players want to move on anyway? It's a brilliant football club. It's a big club. Nobody loves those players more than those Newcastle United fans, Rob. And you're right. The momentum that's got now at this football club with Eddie Howe, you got to build on it. And don't let any piece of it go away. I'm sure they're on decent contracts. You've got to keep the players. You've got to add to it, because it's a really, really... Even Tino Livramento, full-back that can play right side, can play left-back. You've got to add to it. Yeah, absolutely. It's a good point. Don't sell any of them. I mean, tonight, there's all been a little rumours about a lot of their best players. But please, if you're in Newcastle, just keep... I want to see this... I want to see where this project ends up. And with managers that get the momentum going.
It could be a regular disruptor to top 6, mate. They've got potential. Them and Villa have got potential to disrupt the top 6.
To get there and to stay there, given their financial backing.
Push them out. Yeah.
Man United, Rob, I mean, I'm not sure whether this is going to be a long conversation. I think it might not be, mate, because, Gary answered first in the studio today about Manchester United. And everything he said, I could have literally said exactly the same thing when it came to me. And of course, we never want to say the same thing, but the amount of doom and gloom and really kind of focused thinking on United and how and when they can get back is so difficult, mate. So please give me... Please be positive that there's an area of the team, once that's fixed, or they're going to get this and this is going to be okay. And can you see any light at the end of the tunnel I don't even care who's manager, of this squad of developing into a team that's going to get into the top 3 or 4?
What we saw today was 20 minutes. I thought they used the football well. There was little signs of things starting to possibly knit together. But Rob, we have a problem. Houston, we have a major problem.
We do have a problem.
Diogo Dalot is a typical, right at the moment, Manchester United player, right? He's a typical, he sums up. Going forward, he's got good ability, he can cross it. He plays a lovely ball to Garnacho. They get the goal. And like Diogo Dalot, that's great. Where you want him? Diogo Dalot, one-on-one in a wide position with Harvey Barnes, does nothing. Doesn't make a tackle, doesn't put his body on him, doesn't do anything. He sums up what Manchester United are, Rob. Now, you've already, and we've got to move on this one because I know we can't spend too long, but your line you said with Liverpool, I want to revisit, too many good players. Manchester United, too many poor players is a problem. Yeah. Forget the manager right now. That's a smokescreen. Yeah. Forget the system. Yeah. Smokescreen. Absolutely right. Quality players. And I've got one more little test for you, Musty, today. I've phoned Jim Ratcliffe up after the game and said, Jim, I've got a plan for you. We're going to give every player a free transfer, apart from Bruno. We're going, you got to, and Jim quite liked where I was going. I said, okay, Jim, we're going to get everybody a free transfer. We're going to phone all the big 6 clubs and see who they want on a free transfer from our team. Yeah, and we'll let them go. Yeah, and guess what? Garnacho got some interest. Yeah. Diallo got some interest. Who's injured at the moment, but he got some interest.
Mainu might get a bit of interest.
Probably Mainu. So we're talking 3 who've really had academy come through the academy status, or certainly part of the production. But in terms, Rob, of every other player on the pitch, I'm talking 2 goalkeepers. You can add Bindia to Onana. You can add any of the back 5. You can add any of the midfield 2 or 3, however you want it. Ugarte, Eriksen, Casemiro. Obviously, Bruno's out. I'm saying you're a free transfer. You can go to those top 6 clubs. None of them would take them, Rob. Yeah. None of them. So that's where we are with Manchester United. It's right where we are.
That's exactly right. And that's a really good way of saying it. Bruno Fernandes apart and some of those young talent that people will take on a free.
Yeah, potential.
You're right. You are right. And that's a mainly down to recruitment of the past. But you got to say, we're starting to question the recent ones, the recent signings. And maybe there's still time yet for Xerxes, and maybe time for Lenny Yoro. Had a tough game again today. So great point. But let's maybe finish with the goalkeepers, because we don't want to keep going on the misery of the United. It's going to take a long time to fix this. Gosh. I mean, we end up starting talking about Andre Onana and the mistakes he made, of course, in the Europa League on Thursday against Lyon. Yeah. And Bayindir comes in for his first Premier League appearance ever. Yeah. Thinking that if he plays well, he'll play on Thursday. I said a few weeks ago, Rob, about this goalkeeper, I think in the studio with Rebecca, I think my answer might have been...
We were talking about it.
Were we talking about it? And I said, there's more problems than Andre
pressing things. You said there's more pressing things.
Is there? I mean, it might be. There still might be.
There might be, but I go back to that Liverpool and Klopp when he ended up getting Alisson, and Mignolet was a great goalkeeper, but that was the final. Yeah, but that piece isn't going away, Rob.
I know it's not going away.
That piece isn't going away. It's an itch that every now and then is going to come back with a big rash, and you keep on having to scratch it. And I don't know. Some of that depends where you're building your team from. Are you building from back to front? Or you're building from front to back. But what we do know is that piece needs attention.
It's just where the money's going to come from.
You've now also, Rob, in this new situation that's happened, got 2 goalkeepers who are both rock bottom in confidence. Going into the biggest game of your season, the Europa League, that's your season, that's Champions League, that's everything. You've got now 2 goalkeepers who probably won't be picking up a cup of tea today because they'll be shaking that much, there'll be no tea left in the cup.
I don't want to get into it now, Rob, but how does a club like Manchester United, in that big a position, manage to have 2 goalkeepers right now that you can't really trust to save the ball when it's shot at the goal? I mean, I feel so bad for Man United fans, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. They are some of the best fans in the country.
Absolutely.
And Gary
you see them after the game.
They never boo they won't boo the players, they won't boo the managers. They support the team like crazy, and they're having to be super patient in this really difficult time. But listen, let's hope they do well in Europa. Let's hope they find a way past Lyon. There's 2-2.
Yeah, it's true.
After the first leg. Let's hope they find a way
2-2 in the first leg.
And bring a little bit of good feeling back to the football club.
All right, mate, we're going to skate through the other results. Manchester City 5, Crystal Palace 2. Palace 2-0 up, and then we saw a bit of City. Just got to ask you on this one, because it is a big question. We didn't spend much time on Kevin De Bruyne last weekend. Obviously, the star man this weekend, goals, assists, involved in lots of the good things, Rob. I've read a few reports this morning that intimate, and again, I might be reading it wrong here, I don't know if it's, that intimate that Kevin De Bruyne might not be done with the Premier League. And to quote his line was that he's looking for a exciting project that would get him going again, not necessarily as though he's ruling out the Premier League. Now, I'm again, he might be putting it out there, I might be reading it wrong, journalists might be putting it out wrong. But if Kevin De Bruyne is available on a free transfer at the end of this season, unlike the Manchester United players who are on the free and not many takers, there'd be a couple of takers for KDB, wouldn't there?
Oh, I'd love to see that, Rob. I'd love to see that. You're teasing everybody with Kevin De Bruyne staying in the division, one of the best attacking midfield players of all time in the English top
it was just the quotes he made, Rob, that he said he's looking for a nice project, an exciting plan.
How about Villa?
I've got four. Liverpool, Arsenal, Villa, Newcastle.
Arsenal.
Could they be an exciting enough project for KDB to hand over his Man City loyalty and say, well, because he's made it very clear that the club have decided it was time to make the move, and you know, Pep and whatever, and it's now been decided. So is there a position where he says, right, I've put my great time at Man City, I still think I've got a couple of years at me at the very top level, if it's Champions League and Premier League and the likes, could he be a benefit to any of those four clubs?
Absolutely, 100 million %. I'm thinking more and more about Arsenal. Martin Odegaard was injured.
Yeah.
There was a real lack of creativity. There's energy and legs in that midfield that could maybe work around him a little bit in Partey.
Will he have a little relationship with Arteta from being Arteta's been the number 2 at City, and there might be a little relationship?
Wouldn't that bring an excitement to the club, let alone his on-field quality, what it takes to be champions? You'd have to play around him a little bit, go and live in a nice part of London, you know, get away from the rain of Manchester. Sorry. But
Manchester.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Ooh. So that's little tester. It's interesting, Rob, and I thought it was an interesting. I don't know whether it was a fishing expedition he's chucking it out there, but it was definitely worded as though it might not necessarily mean the end of the Premier League. You know, sometimes we've seen stars like that say, you know, I couldn't ever be seen in any other colour. That's my, you know, the John Terrys and the people. Well, although he went to Villa, didn't he, before that, after that? But you know, most of those big time players who are all time greats kind of say it's a one team in the Premier League. But he definitely was putting it out there that it might be. There might be an option for somebody else.
That's a great shout, my friend. That is, and that. Let's just watch his space. Just before we move on from the game, Rob, I did want to give a shout out to the young players of Man City. City were good. Second half, zipping the ball around, lively, youthful players coming off the bench. Nico Riley had a tough start, to be fair. At left back, came into the game, scored a goal. 20 years of age. James McAtee, absolutely in my top 2 for underappreciated performer. James McAtee, you know, he's come out of nowhere, really, on loan, wasn't he? And back into the football club, 22 years of age.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. First start.
Oscar Bob is back fit again. Looks like I'll temper that a little bit. Looks like he's got a bunch of talent and skill that could grow into being a star player. And Savinho come on later on as well. So, you know, just the inklings of the next
what
kind
it might
of
start to look like.
With the young players, with the likes of De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, etc., leaving the club. So kind of encouraging. Kind of slow start. Pep was a little fired up, Rob, with the fans. I think he was quiet.
Yeah, he wanted a little bit more noise, didn't he?
And he was trying to get the fans going a little bit. And to be fair, both the players and the fans reacted and ended up being a pretty good day for City. 5-2.
Yeah, it's a good win. That's a bit old City, isn't it? Yeah, they did need that. Almost needed it.
Yeah.
Result. I think it was 8 wins in the last 22 before then, so it was very un-City-like. But good win. Chelsea had to be content with a point, my friend. 2-0 down against Ipswich. I suppose you'll get some credit for coming back to 2-2, but things are a little difficult for Maresco at the moment, mate. I think that's 4 points they've dropped to Ipswich Town now. They lost 2-0 away. They've drawn 2-2 at home. Fans not happy at half-time at the end of the game. Was watching a little bit of this and reading a few reports. And there's a few questions being asked, Rob, about the manager. Again, don't know team position, but Chalobah started as a right-back. He had Gusto and Reece James, two right-backs on the bench. He had Tosin and Colwell as the two centre-backs. Half-time, he took Tosin off, put Chalobah at centre-back, Gusto on at right-back. He's getting questioned about a few things, Rob, and how he's doing things. You just got to be a bit careful between now and the end of the season. And he is in Champions League is everything for this football club.
If he doesn't make the top 5, then there'll be pressure. I hope, and I actually expect.
It's Conference League. Is it a Spurs situation? Like, will a Conference League trophy be enough? Or in the grand scheme of Chelsea, not sure that's.
I'm not sure it's that relevant. Like they should go ahead and win that. I still don't think with the teams that they play in that competition. I still don't think that's going to be ample weight to judge the manager end of the season. I've said it many times. I kind of like what's happening there, and I grimace because that's such a bad result in it. That's such a bad result. That's
not acceptable.
They got Cole Palmer, you've got Nico Jackson back, you've got Madueke back, you've got all the front players back again.
Yeah.
Moises Caicedo's in the middle of the park. They should not be dropping points against Ipswich Town when they're the conference. Who cares? Like for now, this is important. The other teams that will go on to and Spurs and the other ones are playing European competition. Man United a little bit. I get it that it's hard to be too judgmental
competition
given
as
those
Europa,
things going to go on. But this was not. This is like, okay, Chelsea, what do you got? Forest lost. Others have dropped points. You got to win, and they didn't. Bad result.
And I'm just going to give very quickly the 6 fixtures that Chelsea have got left. Fulham away, Everton at home, Liverpool at home, Newcastle away, Man United at home, Forest away. Last game of the season.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they ready? They're ready to grind that away.
That's 6 games, mate. That's 6 tough games.
Yeah, I know.
This team have got to grow up a little bit, grow up fast if they want to get to.
They need some steel to make sure they get some points. Exactly.
Southampton 0, Villa 3. No surprise on this one that Villa get the job done. Interesting, Rob. I think it's the first time in Premier League history 3 subs have come on and scored the 3 goals that have won the game. I'm not sure if I told our producers, but my underappreciated performer of the week came in this game.
Did it? Who was
it? It's young Oliver Watkins, my friend.
He's appreciated.
Is he really appreciated by?
I think he is.
Well, to a certain degree, Unai Emery, and I'm not going to challenge his management, but didn't play him in the big game of the week in PSG. Didn't start him in this game. He played Rashford. Then he came on, Rob, and won a penalty, scored a beautiful goal, won penalty, had a really influence on the top end of the pitch. There was a time not so long ago when people were saying, "Oh, is it time for John Duran to start and Ollie to sit on the bench?"
And I think a good point. Yeah.
I think there's many top strikers who we go, "No, he's the main man," and Duran will wait his time. And I just always feel like he gets slightly overlooked for what he does. His goals, his assists, his ability to run down the side, his pressing from the front. I just think he's one of those strikers, Rob, at times that doesn't always get as much appreciation. And ask Manchester United, and ask Chelsea, and ask few of those teams, and Arsenal to a certain degree, how difficult it is to get someone at the top of the pitch who does a job like he does. So I know Arsenal were linked to him, weren't they? I think it was the beginning of the season or something like that. But I just feel like, you know what, an all-rounder Ollie this week, Ollie Watkins, and I'll be interested to see if he starts the second game against PSG when they need goals, and he always looks bright and he always looks like he might create something.
No, you framed it well there, mate. You framed it well, because I think you're right. Like, Rashford's come in and Asensio and these star attacking players have an impact, and now Ollie Watkins is not. So in that context of recent kind of weeks, Yeah, it's not a bad shout. The underappreciated in terms of what he does. What a ball from Tielemans. I mean, Tielemans, he might be we have our little Gundogan, our little forever underappreciated. Tielemans is becoming...
Is he getting in that category?
He's doing so well when we still don't really talk about him too much. His passing ability, I just... Yeah, big fan of Tielemans as well as Morgan Rogers. That's the first time I mentioned Morgan Rogers in this podcast, by the way. I think he had an assist. Did he have an assist? I don't know. I think
he had an assist. Yeah, he assisted the Marlon goal, didn't he? I think.
So well done, Villa. Left it a little bit late, but well done, Villa. Finding a way. They're finishing strongly. Fair play.
Some of the results, my friend. Wolverhampton Wanderers 4.
Oh,
I'll say that again. Wolverhampton Wanderers 4. Tottenham Hotspurs 2. I mean, if ever a season was dependent on one game, mate, and that's Tottenham Hotspur going away this weekend in the Europa League, it seemed like that's it for Ange, and I don't wish to be harsh or critical. If he loses that game, he may as well clear his desk, hasn't he?
I think Friday. If he loses that game on Thursday, Rob, and they're out of the Europa League, it's on Thursday night. I mean, does he see the week out? Like if they're out, Rob? I mean, this is all the time. It's a losing habit.
This is incredible. This is incredible.
And by the way, I want to just pick out one player here, and I don't care if he's won the World Cup.
I knew you were going. I've got a circle around him myself.
I mean, Christian Romero.
Yeah.
Is he a bit of a myth of a world-class centre back? Because I love his aggression. Let me finish here. I love his aggression, and he makes these challenges, and he's a big tough guy. I know all that. He done half, and there's some things he does. I'm like, and he kind of gets away with it. The defending today for the goal where it was unexcusable, and I just wonder if and I know when you've got that World Cup medal round your neck forevermore, I get it, but I mean, there's been the evidence is starting to top up that he ain't that great as a positional player. He's a little rash. We know that. I mean, we know he's not brilliant on the ball. That I don't know. Am I being too harsh there to pick him out right now? Or is he...
Not too harsh, but you talk about World Cup winners, which is great. But McAllister's a World Up winner.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Martinez is a World Cup, and then March. So yeah, being a World Cup winner doesn't allow you that bridge to stroll. I think Robbie is in some respect, and we call the phrase in football in the game. I think he's a bit chocolate. I think he's having himself, and I think at times he almost looks a bit like he's a bit better than what's going on around me. It looks like he's a bit, I'm Romero. Come on,
I've got this. Yeah.
And by the way, I've been seeing it for a few weeks. If I could sell him, Rob, and get good money, I'd do it now. If I could sell him and get good money, and I'd go and invest in the Howsons or one of them, try and nick one of those Forest ones or somebody next to Van der Ven, who I think's way better personality, way better character.
And I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way. And I'm saying this too early, but I'm going to say it anyway. Too early. I'm still kind of excited for what this Spurs team can do. And I'm not talking under Ange, right? Maybe he wins the Europa, and maybe he finds a way to stay at the club, and maybe he gets it going again. But I kind of like a lot of the players, maybe not Romero so much, of the team, the club right now, that actually, with a different approach and a little bit more shape and structure, could do pretty well. Maybe that's speaking way too far ahead of times. But
some would say that 17 losses the same as Wolves. That might be slightly optimistic, but I hear you.
Maybe the players aren't as good as what we think they are then.
Yeah, maybe I hear you.
All right.
Last game of the weekend, Brighton 2, Leicester 2. Pedro with 2 penalties for Brighton. Mabadidi gets 1, and then Akoli gets first goals, I think, since December or January, was it, for Leicester City? So a 2-2 draw. Just suspending time for Leicester, obviously dropping to the Championship, but at least a bit of a spirited performance for Ruud van Nistelrooy and his team, which will make Monday morning training that little bit better, mate. It's not another straight defeat, was it? 8 straight defeats without a goal. I think they're on some kind of run. Yeah. Incredible.
No, I got a team here. I was going to check the team because I heard that Wout Faes, I've done I heard Wout Fast was not available for the game. And maybe that's why they got a draw.
I think Ruud van Nistelrooy locked him in a room somewhere and said he wouldn't be available for the game. Bless old Wout. It does seem like bad luck's going with him. Listen, mate, another smashing weekend in the Premier League when Liverpool took another stride towards a Premier League title. The race for Champions League looked like that's going to go right down to the wire, with Newcastle, Man City and Aston Villa all winning this weekend, while Nottingham Forest and Chelsea have lost some ground. We'll be back next weekend. That's April the 20th for match week 33 for your next instalment of the Premier League season. But for now, I'm Earl. He's Musty, together with the two Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.